Roma, the 2018 film directed by Alfonso Cuarón, who directed movies such as Children of Men, as well as the film Gravity. Now, this is a real passion project for this guy. He wrote and directed this film, and it's something he wanted to make for a very long time. Now, this is a black and white foreign film set in Mexico in a different language, so a lot of people might have a hard time getting into it because of that. Now, this film was on various film festivals where it won some of them and was very well received, and now it was picked up by Netflix, and what's good, I guess, is that Netflix is going to open up this film to a lot more people that otherwise wouldn't see it, because a lot of these foreign films don't really get seen by wider audiences, so that is pretty good. Our lead actress in this film is Yalitza Aparicio, and she was really good as the maid Cleo in this film. She had a very quiet reservedness to her performance, but you can tell so much about just the expressions on her face and the way she carries herself through these various scenes. She was really good. Now, this movie is set in the 1970s in Mexico City, and it follows the life of this middle-class family and their maid for an entire year. Now, there's not much of an overall plot per se. It's more so just like you're living with this family and you're very immersed in their life for this time period. Now, I have to say, this has got to be one of the most overhyped films I've ever seen. The reviews are calling this a richly textured masterpiece, the most exquisite and artistic film of the year, the best picture of the year, the best film of the decade. Some people saying this movie brought them to tears. People saying that this is just like the greatest movie ever made. So going into this film, my expectations were super, super high. And when I came out of it, I felt honestly kind of mixed on it. And I almost feel like I'm going to be attacked or there's something wrong with me because I did not love this movie like so many people did. So that's where I'm a little bit at a crossroads with this film. And the overhype did not really help matters. Now, I have to say, there still are a lot of positives of this film. It is well directed. There are some beautiful shots in this. Some scenes that come to mind are this ocean beach shot, this tracking shot where the maid is on this beach, and then all of a sudden one of the kids is drowning, so she goes and runs into the ocean, and the way this tracking shot just follows her from the beach over the water into the ocean and then back again. Or sometimes the characters are just moving through the streets of Mexico City and we have this tracking shot over the streets. Beautiful stuff there. There's this one scene where Cleo, the maid, is giving birth and we're on her for such a really long time. And I mean, really beautiful cinematography in this film. There's another scene where they're in a movie theater, and it's like this really long shot of that. And we see these characters in the background, just these background characters. And they almost have their own little stories and like things going on there that you can almost just watch this couple making out in front of them a few rows ahead. And they have their almost own little story, even though they're just in the background. So stuff like that was really great. Now on to some of the negatives for this film. While it is very immersive, following this family and seeing their real life, it is also just very mundane and boring, and there's really not much of a story here. Now, this is a very long movie, 2 hours and 15 minutes, but I think they only have about an hour worth of story here, and it just drags out for that long runtime because the director loves to indulge himself with these long shots. Now, this movie opens up. You have 4 minutes of just seeing this water on the floor as the intro credits start rolling. And apparently, the maid is mopping, but it's 4 minutes of just watching water splash on the floor. Finally, we pan up to the maid, and then we slowly watch her bring the mop down this hallway, and then she puts it in this little like storage closet or something, and she goes inside this closet, and she shuts the door, and then it is literally a 30-second shot of this doorway, and where she's maybe changing in there or something, but it's literally 30 seconds of the movie of just this doorway, nothing else. She finally comes out of that doorway, and then she goes into the house. So we're talking maybe the first 6 minutes or so of the movie, and we've done nothing. Finally, she's walking through the house, and we see her clean a bit. Finally, we have some interactions with the kids. But a lot of the movie is just this. These long, drawn-out shots that go on forever. Mind you, it looked beautiful. Some of these shots were very nice, but he's really stretching the time here, and so much of the movie is just that. It's these super long shots done because they look beautiful, but they have no real merit to the overall story sometimes, and they're what I like to call masturbatory directing. It's the director kind of indulging himself and saying, oh, this is going to look beautiful, and really taking his time to do these long shots, but not adding much to the overall story, and it really, really drags out the story at times and makes it slow and very kind of boring. Now, when I got to the midway point of this movie, I really wanted to bail. I wanted to bail on this movie, but it was all of these positive reviews calling this the best film of the decade that made me be like, no, I have to sit through this movie and see it through to the end to see how good or bad this movie really is. So I watched the entire thing, and I never really got over that slowness of the movie and these long scenes. So while they look technically beautiful, there's not much here to this overall story, and it can really drag on at times. Overall, while I, from an intellectual perspective, appreciated the artisticness of this film, it was too drawn out and boring and suffered from a director masturbating to his own work. Metaphorically speaking, I did not love this movie. I liked it, and I think it is worth watching to see some of these scenes, but I did not love it, and it is not my favorite film of the year, and it is okay to not like this movie, as well as it is okay to love this movie if you're super into it as well. But for me, I would give this film a 7.5 out of 10. Not too bad, but not the greatest film of the decade.